May 21st, 2013. Microsoft are about to announce their next generation console, the Xbox One, in a lavish presentation to wow and charm the masses. And in this cringeworthy opening package, our favourite corpo Scum came out with a bold mission statement.
For the first time,
you and your TV are going to have a relationship.
Yeah, some bellend actually wrote that. Now, it would be cathartic to dry hump my TV, because watching this hour-long presentation was like smacking myself in the balls with a Duke controller. This conference is now infamous for Microsoft pulling its relatable human mask off, to reveal the cable-watching boomer within. And their mouthpiece, Don Matrick, proceeded to shit every bed in known existence. Long story short, it was a colossal shit show that gets arguably funnier with age. And with every snarky critic calling it the X-Bone by the end of the stream, you could tell that this presentation was a rousing success. While I could harp on this for another 2 hours, this emphasis on TV and next-generation gaming tech was a perfect playground for a bunch of Finnish pop culture nerds to make a fusion of passive and interactive entertainment called Quantum Break, made by Remedy Entertainment, because of course it is. This time-travelling twattery screams Remedy, and by the end of this adventure, your ears will bleed. In this tirade, we play the handsome Jack Joyce, portrayed by actor Shawn Ashmore. After receiving a call from his friend called Paul, played by Aidan Gillen, Jack travels to a college campus owned by the megacorp Monarch. After walking down this beautifully crafted campus, we catch up with Paul, who then brags to his lifelong pal that he's built a time machine. And tonight is the night he fires that puppy up. And I'm sure this is a fun prank that won't cause a catastrophe, oh dear. And our avatar and his gate-crashing brother, William, must escape Monarch spooks that want a taste of those bisexual turn-ups. During this rolling shit show, we get a zinger from Will.
Explosion make time go bad. If time is an egg, then that egg is fucking broken. The time egg is fucked.
What? Why is there an egg in this?
And Jack, following that time-based accident, discovers that he can bend time to his whims. Time for video games. As you can guess, with this new array of flashy abilities, Jack can beat these brats with a time-based baseball bat, such as throwing out a ball of time that freezes the opponent inside, which then you can fire your comically inaccurate weapons at, and after a few seconds all these bullets slam into the opponent, causing heavy damage. Another time bubble which you use as a shield, a dash move that you can push dudes back, giving you a free hit, and later a time nuke which just blows everything up. And with a short cooldown, you might as well use it because it just obliterates everything. And a move where you can Sonic the Hedgehog home and attack anyone with a single button press. Also, I love that they didn't put a sound effect on the stomp at the end of the attack.
Gotta move.
Hey, cover!
And did you notice that rad as hell stutter? That is because this takedown in particular uses pre-baked animations, which are capped at a cinematic 30 frames per second, and is jarring as dicks if you're playing this game on PC, where on my system it flips from a buttery smooth 60 to a vom inducing 30. The in-engine cutscenes suffer from this as well, with these couple of frames of stutter in and out of them. It's quite distracting. And yeah, I could bang on about these visual quibbles like a pedantic John Linneman. I do love the aesthetic of this game. The clean lines of the office buildings, contrast with the rust and cluttered grunge of the warehouses. And while it's not a fantastical setting, I dig its urban sprawl. It's very Xbox 360 if the Xbox One went full Xbox 360. Which is amusing considering it came out nearly 3 years into its life cycle. A life cycle that was screaming for new first party IP, not containing cock and Space Marines or the zombie of John Madden. And its pedestrian looks complement the intentional glitchy graphics when time stutters, or when Jack is doing his magic tricks, and throughout the game you feel like this world is tearing apart at the seams, and it's a refreshing twist to the usual apocalyptic themes we get in games. There are no nukes or retro futures here. This world could end on a whimper, like a silent time-based trouser accident. After Jack gets his brother out of another jam and bumping into this woman that we'll simp over later, Paul stops our brother in the hallway, and you will never guess what. This oily condom in a windbreaker is evil! Wait for it, wait for it! Ha! Nice! The general flow of Quantum Break can be broken down into 3 distinct parts: the gameplay, the live action web show, and what the game calls junctions, where we control Paul and make a choice on how the story will play out, with slick rundowns of each choice. This is where our writer of this game and all of Remedy's titles, Sammy Yarvi, also known as Sam Lake, tries to be cute by giving the player this choice from the antagonist's point of view. And for me, it doesn't quite work. Okay, I do like that they tried to attempt to flesh out Paul and raise his character from the usual wankers we get in these games. However, this choice and the subsequent picks post this choice fall flat. Be a prick or be a slightly bigger prick is not exactly nuanced, and choosing to kill this girl or use her for propaganda may look interesting, but in the overall story arc, this doesn't mean much. Yes, some characters will do slightly different things later on, but none of it really matters, and putting a bullet in her skull because these fucks are fuckers makes more sense to me. Probably best not to read into that. Oh, and fun fact, the actress who plays this character is married to Brian DeChart, who played Connor in Detroit Become Human. Cause everything leads back to him.
He is inside with us. He will never get away. His pain won't end.
Come on, Scott, he's not real. He's all in your head. Just take your gamer pills and relax. Okay. Oh, God. Why do these things taste like VTubers? Alright, we open this first episode with that girl we mentioned earlier tied to a chair, being pumped for knowledge by Paul's right hand, Martin, played by Lance Reddick, whose sultry voice could make me come just by reading the phone book.
I'm going to stand. I'm going to leave. And the one on your right is going to shoot you in the head.
Fuck you.
We also see this rugged chap called Liam, who is one of Monarch's heavies, that seems to be growing a conscience by looking away at, what's her name, having a new hole to eat soup from. I wonder if this will play into the story. Anyway, Liam is tasked to find Jack and a Monarch agent assisting him in his quest, which leads Liam to not do that and go home and hug his missus, because she's pregnant, and he couldn't roll his blatant thug with a heart of gold shit any thicker unless they used the rollers from fucking Splatoon.
I dreamt you were a cat.
A cat?
Mm-hmm. With these big furry bear paws. Way too big for your body. It was a strange creature.
Yeah, I think we should go with the broad strokes. These live action segments are mostly used to expand the world, to give this place texture and depth, and they do this by introducing a sizable cast of characters. One is this rat called Charlie, a quippy hacker man, who speaks in fluent C++, if it was written by Hideo Kojima, while he was smugly sipping a wine glass filled with toilet duck.
Come on. Come on. And we're in. Yeah? Street cams, dash cams, computers at headquarters. I mean, hell, I could hijack police scanners and put out an APB on your mom. What the fuck is that? What is that?
Coffee?
Yeah, I know, it's coffee. What the fuck is it doing on my desk, Brendan? Have you ever seen one of these? You know what it is?
It's a coaster.
Coaster. Yeah, do they have these in Idaho?
Iowa.
Whatever. Use it.
He's such a weasel, I love him. To get to the point, while tracking Jack down, Liam is accidentally caught in this conspiracy, as he finds out that this woman from earlier, known as Beth Wilder, is the double agent, which then causes Charlie to finger him as a turncoat as well, because he saw him on a webcam inside the van. You know what, just run with it, okay? Which leads to the slowest high-speed chase I have ever seen, where Liam can barely outrun Monarch in their Karen wagons, which made me laugh pretty hard. And with this exciting scene, that is the end of episode 1 of the live action part. And boy, they packed in a lot in those 25 minutes. Luckily for us, we are let out the pen to play the fucking game again. And before we get into it, I must highlight Jack's parkour skills. Look at him go. He's like a cat. And here is where the actual gameplay loop comes into play. And surprise, this is a cover shooter, because the company that made slow-mo games cool, and Alan Wake's mundane yet oddly satisfying ritual of shining a torch on a dark dude, followed by a couple of pot shots, is too unconventional for the average Red Bull infused prick penguin to comprehend. So get behind that cover and appreciate those finely textured bricks, you fucking bitch. While you could rub these Twinkie gams against the wall, Remedy knows how fucking boring cover-based shooting is. So they sneakily crafted Jack's abilities to push the player into the faces of these twats for a hearty spoonful of ripping and tearing. And you kinda have to shoot them at close range because the guns spray bullets like a burst septic tank. Also, Quantum plays better with a control pad over a mouse and keyboard. Yes, it's playable, but the mapping on the K&M causes cramps in my manly meat claws, and the generous aim assistance on the controller makes the game flow smoother than trying to aim with a floaty feeling mouse. All in all, the gunplay is simple yet cathartic. While it's not very meaty, it is a visual and audio spectacle that kept me engaged, which is great because, oh look, it's the story bursting through the tight, enjoyable gunplay. Hooray! After another junction, which is so pointless I'm thinking about cutting this line entirely, we see how our antagonist turned into a massive bellend. You see, when Paul walked into the time machine at the start of this story, he sees what he likes to call the end of time, which broke his pig-pegging heart, and with all the failed attempts to rectify this Chronon cock-up, made him don a turtleneck and embrace the darkness. Now, I would say this is a commentary on misanthropy, and the existential fear of a concept we take for granted stopping. But when you cast a guy who plays a greasy asshole for a living, that might be a tad rich. Oh, and look at this, 53% of the community agreed with my choice. Because immersion can get fucked, I guess. Okay, we start this episode with Paul being treated for his time-based STIs. That will turn him feral if not treated. He also maxed on his personal doctor.
Sophia. Thank you.
Oh, you smooth bastard. And what do you do when the world is about to end? You throw an opulent party at Monarch's private island, of course. Is it okay if I drop the pretense that Monarch is Microsoft? Anyway, we catch up with Charlie and a woman called Fiona, who after some flirting ditches Shindig to go for a walk. But hold that phone, Poindexter. We now jump to Liam, who's locked in a prison cell on this island. And he says the best line in the fucking game.
Listen, if I have to come in there, you're gonna fucking regret it. Listen, this is just a big misfucking understanding. I'm gonna be out tomorrow. I will put in a good word for you. I will help you climb this ladder. All I'm asking is please let me take a fucking shit.
Then he beats his tit up because his universe is using cartoon logic. Then he catches up with his old friend.
You little fuck. Hey, all you had to do was let me in that perimeter lab.
Come on, lads, play nice.
You have no idea what's going on, do you? I need to get in that lab. There's something in there that I need.
The lifeboat protocol. You work with Beth Wilder. I've seen you before.
You know her?
She's the reason I'm here.
Oh, just look at Charlie's face, learning that he's just been played. You know what, I just want to give him a hug. And then, of course, knee him in the bollocks for being such a scrote. So this rat's nest of plot threads leads everyone to track down a MacGuffin called the Lifeboat Protocol. Get it? Biblical reference? Which in a nutshell is a thing that protects people from the Fracture, a time-based end of the world with a cool name. And Liam especially wants his family on the guest list by doing the opposite of getting invited to a private club. While at the same time, Jack and his cohort, Beth Wilder, are tracking down the countermeasure, a thing that his brother made to stop whatever time-based fuck-ups that may happen, which leads to our trio going to a secret lab.
Disrupted life form. Extremely hostile.
Oh my god, I don't fucking care. This whole bit here is just nothing. It's filler. It establishes a character that goes nowhere and then immediately drops it like Linus Sebastian. And I find it hilarious that a show with only 4 episodes needs filler to pad out its runtime. Like a YouTube show bloviating with jokes about how pathetic the host is. And the only saving grace of this entire episode is our dual leads getting sassy with each other.
I've been to the past. I've tried to change things, undo mistakes, only to find there's no changing the inevitable. Time is just one closed loop. No matter what I do, you and I, we always end up here. And no matter what I do, time ends.
I think you've lost your fucking mind.
But no, we have to stop because the fucking exposition has to be talked about again.
Holy shit, this is Dr. Amaril's report.
What is it?
The stutters, they're increasing in frequency.
What's a stutter?
The more frequent the stutters, the more indicative of a fracture.
Okay, and what's a fracture?
Of time. Zero state, it stops, and it doesn't start back up.
Shut up, Fiona. After watching sci-fi written by a bloke that binged Doctor Who while high off his tits on bath salts, we can finally get back to kicking ass and chewing turnips. And in this chapter is where we get introduced to these knob gobblers that shake off your time-based tomfoolery, which leads to a game of kiss chase, where you need to zip behind them and shoot the glowing bits on their backs, which is the gameplay equivalent of extra cheese on a 5-cheese toasty, but it does add some spice to the enemy roster. But what grinds my gears is that all these gloriously destructible diatribes, Remedy bolted on yet another useless AAA testicle, a progression system. Because what is more cathartic than controlling a god of death than a slightly more efficient god of death? And just like every game with this low effort intrinsic dog shit, the upgrades you get to have vague descriptions, meaning you're not quite sure what you're improving. Oh cool, I have a shorter cooldown on my time nuke, which had a short cooldown anyway. Whoopie-doo. And what makes this even worse is that this RPG guff is so forgettable I forgot it even existed, until my second playthrough of this game for this review. And then when I was checking the achievements, it dawned upon me. This isn't for you to enjoy a game with dynamic gameplay, this is just a collectathon. Which in my headcanon, in an alternative dimension, Sam Lake was the writer of Banjo-Kazooie. And I'm just stalling because, guess what kids, it's story time again. After ditching his date and his best friend, Charlie decides to have a parlay with Martin.
Paul Serene's become unhinged, Charlie. He's triggered a catastrophe. He has the chance to fix it, but he's choosing not to. He's choosing to let things end.
And I have sticky stuff running down my thighs. In other news, we have Steve from Yo Video Games acting his ass off, and the Exposition trio reunite to tell us what the hell is going on. And here we learn a valuable lesson. Never talk back to a man who knows Krav Maga.
Tired as shit. I don't know why you're doing this, but I don't have to put your name on shit, motherfucker.
Oh, Charlie. When will you learn? Martin fills the time while walking slowly away from a cool explosion, and we also learn that the time stutters are getting worse. And our triangle of twats run away from a water leak and act like it's a colossal tidal wave. And this scene is even funnier when they're fumbling with a chain link door so much that the water would have splashed their ankles by now. But then in a dumb fucking piece of editing, you can see the background and there's no water. See, there's no water. What are they running away from? And after that heart-pounding chase, the best friends club regroup and... oh no! Liam has been shot! Which leads to the most jarring moment in this entire game, which I can't show you in full because YT's funky rules, but check this.
You know, I'm really gonna enjoy killing your wife.
Yeah, Liam cuts this fucker's throat. And I was stunned watching this bloke gargle in his blood-filled lungs. It's such a jarring shift in tone, which is odd to say because this game revels in violence, but for the most part it's bloodless. And it moves so quickly you don't really think about it. Well, until Liam takes off his dissonance dungarees. Jesus Christ. Alright, Martin and Paul have a tense convo while Paul chews the scenery.
You let this happen!
Which leads to him activating the lifeboat protocol, where every Jerry and Janet who works at this fucking place gets summoned.
Dr. Hogan?
What the hell is it?
The protocol's been initiated.
I need to wake my family.
I'm afraid we have no time.
Oh, this padding is so comfy. And then we see Liam go in full John Wick on yet another assassin, while his wife watches in the background. Oh, just look at them. Let the boys play. And naturally, his boo is a tad freaked out by her man's real vocation. But Chaddy, soon-to-be daddy, wins her over when he says this.
Please, this is not who I am. This is not. I'm telling you, I never felt good doing this. I never felt good doing this. But it's the only thing I knew how to do. And when I got back, I couldn't find anything. I couldn't find anything to do. And Monarch, they found that useful, and they put me to work.
Talk about a toxic work environment. And then we cap all this off with a barrage of tangents with Paul having a deadly premonition that old Marty boy may not be as kosher as he says he is.
Yeah, it's Pierce. I'm at the perimeter lab. So I have some information about Morton Hatch. I want him apprehended. Immediately.
And on this cliffhanger, we return to the gameplay. This level starts slow, with Jack absorbing that he is in a fucked position because he has to get past this checkpoint on a bridge. And with all these Monarch agents running around, it's very unlikely he'll get past. So he decides to sneak his way through. But then that gets derailed by one of the biggest set pieces I've ever seen in games. When a boat crashes into the bridge, and Joycey has to get through the stuttered wreckage. While it's not nuanced from a mechanical point of view, as you are being funneled through this carnage, the visual spectacle is insane. I love it. But this, kids, is another distraction, because now we have to talk about the real lead of this story. And I don't mean this slab of hairy chicken. Nah, we are talking about the often lauded Beth Wilder, played by Courtney Hope. While all the other characters flutter about the story like freshly shredded toilet paper, Beth is the glue that sticks all this silliness into a somewhat coherent narrative. And throughout this story, there is a heavy emphasis on her development, even more than the dick we have to be, which led to my assumption that she was the lead all along. But the black tendril corporal meddling got into Remedy's ear and steered the ship in a new direction. Not to say that Ashmore's performance is bad, he does what he was given with a decent amount of enthusiasm, but when you look from this angle of story density, it is weird that a character who's behind so many things in this story isn't given top billing. Oh wait, hang on, no, it was 2016, and I can imagine those basement-dwelling cucks would call this game woke if it dared to have a person with boobs as the main avatar. But then you get some nerds complaining about the Dead Space remake being woke because of the unisex bogs, then perhaps we need some more time in this brain oven. And yes, the soapbox is a distraction for what the main motivator of this real protag is. And oh boy, this is a fucking spicy one, let me tell ya. Right, so long story medium length, adult Beth travelled back in time to give her child self a journal, filled to the brim with various events that will play out in her near to distant future. As in this world, the past is set in stone and cannot be changed. Inside there are passages where she was bullied for months, where in retaliation she pushed her bully down the stairs, and it's basically filled with more entries of her being bullied, because she sounds absolutely fucking insufferable. But then there's a particular date a date that will forever strengthen her resolve and make her push herself into the lean, mean, world-saving machine. That date... Sorry. That date... Okay, Scott. Calm down. That date is September the 11th, 2001. I get it, I really do. They are trying to put this character over as his all-American hero. But fuck me, that's a proverbial airliner in a tower of disbelief. What are you thinking, Sam? Especially for this goofy time-travelling plotline, with no red pandas in sight. Luckily they don't make a big fuss about this, as this revelation is in a journal, and it's not talked about openly. Because if Uncle Dave got hold of this, Jesus Christ, it would be on the back of the fucking box. Anyway, after that stunning revelation, Beth and Jack travel back in time to get the countermeasure before this bullshine happens. Sadly, in their hubris, they rely on the now captured Dr. whatever her fucking name was, to send them back. Not gathering that she's still loyal to her snake-tongued master, and will screw them over, which she does, sending Beth forward in time instead, who then sees the end of the world. Jack jumps into the machine after her, and discovers a dead-eyed Beth, who he coaxes to retrieve the MacGuffin and save the day. But as you can imagine, this is a complete fuck-up, with Microsoft sending in the Goon Squad, and Paul and Beth rock over the rugby ball that can fix this mess, with Paul making double damn sure he's not a nice man. And this is the moment where the fracture begins. So instead of sorting this problem out, Joyce's meddling caused the problem to begin with. Time machines, am I right, fellas? And also the countermeasure and the thing powering the lifeboat protocol is the same thing, if you didn't get that already. So now, fueled by the death of his brother and his best friend, girlfriend, whatever the fuck you want to call her, Jack is on the warpath. But first, we have to make another pointless choice because I love being judged by others in my single player game. Do I look like a fucking games journalist? Okay, episode 4 of Quantum Filler. Martin gets busted. Never mind. Our diamond in the turd Charlie does, well, what he does best. And we get a rare IRL Jackie Joyce talking to Fiona on the radio.
Fiona Miller?
Yes, speaking.
This is Jack Joyce.
Beth told me you were working together.
You might be the only ally I have left.
What happened?
Serene.
There wasn't anything I can do, but Fiona, there is something we can do now.
I need to find something Will called the countermeasure.
It's 12-sided, small, metallic.
Like a soccer ball.
The CFR.
The what?
The chronon field regulator. That is the countermeasure.
And it can fix the fracture.
Riveting. And Charlie's the first inside the lifeboat. That looks like a set from a snuff movie. Then we see Liam knock over this cardboard guardrail.
They need to stop.
And I guess the sound editor just gave up. And this is where Charlie learns a valuable lesson.
Look. That area up there is insanely secure. He's not gonna be able to get in. Hey, wait! Wait.
I need to finish this.
I know, but I'm the one that should go. The CFR defenses. There's no way he's gonna be able to get past them alone. I'm the only one. I mean, you belong down here. You actually would be useful. I'm dead weight. I'm a glorified locksmith. Why don't you let somebody else be the hero? Okay, tough chick?
Everyone needs IT, Charlie.
Fuck you.
Okay, I know I'm a sarcastic bellend, but good luck to him. Deep down, he's a nice lad. I would still shank him in an alleyway and sell his organs on the black market, but I would do it with love. And here is the best part of the entire series, where Liam goes postal. and our best friends meet again to dump some more expo, because the storytelling loves to tell and then show you 5 minutes later. But then we are rudely interrupted by Martin, who has taken Liam's boo hostage. Yeah. These videos in a single player game that we are watching are not saved to disk on PC. No, they are streamed. And if you don't have a good connection, or the server spitting this shit out goes down, you're fucked. And what was Don's attitude towards potential customers with shitty internet?
Fortunately, we have a product for people who aren't able to get some form of connectivity. It's called Xbox 360.
Oh yeah, that's right. Oh hey, it's back on. And after all his Action Man shenanigans, Liam gets punked out, Martin goes full Albert Wesker, and Charlie, being that lovable rogue, activates his trap card. Next, we mourn the death of a Chad, while Charlie, excited with turning Martin into thermal paste, realizes that our baddie is using Jason Voorhees rules. Oh wait, never mind. And that is the end of episode 4. And for love of God, Sam, take your fucking Ritalin.
Our new dog model is taken from high-resolution scans of an actual SEAL Team service dog.
Interactive storytelling is a revolution in the way we tell stories.
These games are getting really realistic.
It broke new ground!
And we're back in the driving seat as Jack is about to board the 1847 to hell. All aboard! And Jack finally gets his grubby mitts on the countermeasure. One snag, he hasn't got the faintest fucking clue how to use it. And the one nerd who could is now dead. So our boy walks back to the night where Cox went skyward to rush to Will before he becomes a smear on fallen masonry, which means the shooting of more dudes, this time with the light machine gun. And me likey the light machine gun. Anyway, we finally catch up with Will and give him the countermeasure, and it's best not to think where he stashes that thing for safekeeping. And even after all this time, this fucking blockhead has no idea how time travel works.
Fracture wasn't fixed.
Not yet.
Does it work? Theory, yes. We gotta get back to my time machine. Gotta get us back to the time where you came from.
No,
future.
No.
It's the only way.
We need to stop the fracture here, in this time. Now.
Oh, Jack, listen to me. Fracture wasn't fixed in the time where you came from. So fixing it here, it's always gonna fail.
People are going to die, Will. You haven't seen what happens between now and then.
No, but you have. What you have done has set in motion a chain of events that cannot be broken.
Look, we don't know.
And if it could be broken, it could jeopardize the entire world. We get one shot at this. It's too much at stake, Jack.
Look, I know the stakes, okay?
Now, I know he's supposed to be the put-upon everyman, but the extremes he goes to keep the technobabble away from his ape brain needs to be highlighted, especially when everyone around him is far more competent in time travel, to the point where he gets coddled throughout the story like he's on day release.
I'm gonna try it again.
Yeah, like hell you are. You saw what happened. Something's wrong with the machine.
We don't know that.
You're not trained for this. Anything you do is gonna make it worse.
We
You
can't.
know I'm right.
Stop trying.
You lost people. You're angry. I get it. But this is bigger than us.
May I remind you, this was written by the people who made Max Payne. After this lengthy telling off, Jack and Will travel to the future, and wouldn't you know, our buddy Paul is waiting for us, which leads to, you guessed it, a terrible boss fight. A running theme for this show. And this boss fight is just creamy in its shittiness. All you have to do is shoot the goon squad and then Neo run from one end of the room to the other, and then pop Paul in the mush 3 times, and bada boom, bada bing, Serene's cock ring, he flops like a fish. And Will and Jack activate the time bollock to save the world. And I'll give it to Remedy. This was pretty fucking cool for an ending. The thing is, the framing of this entire story is completely fucked. Yes, our buddy Sam can't seem to let a good thing just be good. And in this stream of swears and snarks, I've been expertly time dodging this problem. This entire story is told in retrospect, through Jack being interviewed by this monarch lackey, which is fine in one hand as it helps the comprehension of the looser parts of the plot, especially when everyone is dropping technobabble like it's a Star Trek themed softcore porn parody. This narrative delivery undercuts any plot-driven tension, because this is a recount of previous events. So if we know that he is safe and this chat is strung throughout the plot, then why should we care? It robs the story of any anticipation, and sure, it's a nice little bow to tie this whole story up, but it's over-designed in a way that kinda annoys me, because this could have been told in such a more efficient way, which is kind of a bummer, because even with its flabby live-action nonsense, and moments where the story stops dead so we can be blasted with exposition, I love this game. This isn't a David Cage level jaunt that has been written with someone so filled with impotent rage it makes me look well adjusted. Quantum Break at its core is high concept schlock, where a developer who wanted to make a pulpy sci-fi action game with an unlimited budget was given that unlimited budget, while bowing to its master by slapping a web show on top of it all. It's almost sarcastic in how Remedy took what they were told to do and put in to then just go off on their own path, and made whatever they wanted within these parameters. And yeah, sure, when you look at this plot with a more critical eye, most of it is just dull filler. That doesn't expand the actual story, only prolongs it. But when you switch that part of your brain off and just enjoy the ride, it has this meditative nature to it. And being a short game, it doesn't outstay its welcome. This isn't The Quiet Man, where the sheer randomness of the game caused frustration, and the story was like watching a John Woo movie with a concussion. Quantum Break is a collage of compromised ideas, strung decently together. It's a game I point at when all the best and worst traits of modern gaming rears its ugly head. While it's filtered through a corporate think tank, I love the spectacle and the characters are quite charming. It has a rough, endearing quality that brought back nostalgic memories of the games that Remedy made before, which led to them becoming the cool uncle of this medium. But that said, it's easily the weakest game in their back catalogue. It's way better than Beyond Two Souls.